Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody, and welcome to this edition of TP Talks. Today's topic is on building value by balancing high-tech and high-touch experiences. We're joined by Skand Bhargava from Everest Group and Manish Pandey from Teleperformance. By way of quick introduction, I will be your moderator today. I'm Amit Shankdas, Executive Vice President of Global Market Engagement at Teleperformance. A few housekeeping items before we get started. As you will note, there are several related resources available for you to download in the resources widget to the right of your screen. This webinar is designed to be interactive. You'll see multiple icons at the bottom of your console. If you have any questions, as we'd love for you to interact with us, please submit your questions in the Q&A window to the left of your screen. You can do this anytime during the conversation. We'll address your Q&A as they come along or to the end of the session. Should you have any technical issues, please click on the Help widget. It's the box that looks like a little question mark. What is TP Talks? TP Talks is a session of webinars that we have created to help curate the customer experience. They're 30-minute bite-sized webinars designed to help you as curators of your customer experience at your companies to learn from best practices, big trends, innovations, real-world success stories from people just like yourself. We've worked very diligently with our clients to curate this content for you. There's several available on demand. You can access them from the resource widget on the right of your screen too. A little bit about your hosts for today's webinar. Teleperformance is a leading business services company supporting leading brands in 170 markets around the world across verticals and channels, and we've been doing it for 4 decades. More than just being a bridge between your customers and brands, Teleperformance brings a strategic vision to increase the loyalty and value of your customer base through a wide range of integrated omni-channel solutions, digital integrated business services, security and data privacy, and leveraging our knowledge of customer behavior through analytics. We're committed to partnering with our clients to find innovative ways to manage the customer experience challenges. This webinar is a reflection of that commitment. We are very proud and particularly happy with the recognition we get from analysts in various leadership quadrants by our clients with the ability to help curate their customer experience and make a palpable difference to their brand. This is a manifestation of our mission. That being said, let's jump right to today's webinar. I'd like to introduce our featured guest speakers. Skand Bhargava is a member of the business process team at Everest Group. He advises on topics relating to optimizing business process service delivery models with an emphasis on customer experience management, contact center, insurance processes, etc. His responsibilities include managing Everest Group's customer experience management service and insurance BPO membership offerings. Manish Pandey from Teleperformance comes with 25 years of technology and business experience leading digital transformations. Manish's key transformation focuses include robotic process automation, gamification, self-service, omni-channel maximization, and analytics to reduce contact rate and quality audit calibrations. Skand, Manish, welcome. Okay, let's jump right into this first set of conversations that we'll have with Skand and Manish. And as we were prepping for this webinar, one of the big topics we talked about is sometimes how do people tackle this whole behemoth of digital. People look at it as initiatives, projects, transformation. Transformation can be a big, scary theme. And Skand, I know as you've looked at this subject of digitization, you have a very clear perspective on how people should approach these initiatives. And maybe we'll kick off with your thought process and commentary on that first.
Sure, Amit. Thank you so much. So before we get into the transformation bit that you're talking about, let us quickly define digital. Digital, in a sense, the user here means the customers, the employees and partners. So basically all set of stakeholders for any brand. And while the improvement happens, from an experience perspective, it happens dramatically whenever the digital piece is delivered in the best possible manner. Now, when I say digital, what usually happens is the conversation go towards the user interface that is being delivered. In our definition of digital, which is where we'll bring it to digital projects and the differences from digital transformation, digital is about making it easy for the user, making it accessible for them to use the technology, and finally make it flexible for them in the way they want to use it. Now, all of that come together with another core pillar of digital, which is completeness, right? And this is where we have seen some of the gaps emerge. Now, when I say complete, the digital solution we are talking about should be able to completely solve an issue or ensure that the user is getting the full service. Now, let me give you an example from real life. My wife recently ordered a new washing machine and she did it online. The reason being, there's a great selection available over there, and it also allows her to compare shop using informed reviews. Now, she was really happy with the experience early on, right? It's at the snap of a finger, she was able to get the washing machine ordered. Now, once we bought it, we had to call the offline store to help arrange the installation, right? And it involved a huge run of things around getting the order numbers, so on and so forth. Now, even the store, when we called them, they didn't know how to find a record. They didn't have that particular model in their store, so they didn't know how to install it. All in all, at the end of the entire buying experience, there wasn't a positive vibe about the online buying pattern. Now, net-net, the digital deserves a capital D only when the online and the offline experience both are enhanced. And as I talk about the digital projects and transformation, we've got the definitions over there. In a sense, digital projects are about quick wins. It's about identifying those low-hanging fruits on priority, which leads to incremental value through cost reduction, increased speed, and quality improvement, similar to the initial positive experience that my wife had in the example that I gave. Now, in order to drive long-term sustainable positive experience, one needs to rethink the process that you are running currently and ensure that you're looking at the entire user journey end-to-end and bringing in changes in how the business objectives are achieved to provide transcendental value. This will lead to delivery of optimal results for the brand and for the users. As we move to the next slide, the data over here highlights the suboptimal returns that I was talking about. And now we surveyed 51 enterprises towards the end of 2018, and the survey was focused on identifying how essentially are they moving on the CX transformation journey. Now, there were two key data points that stood out. One, a lot of the providers or a lot of the enterprises did not achieve significant CX improvement. And when I say significant, I mean they had less than 50% improvement in their customer experience since the beginning of their transformation journey. Secondly, even when they did get returns, they were not sustained in 75% of the cases. It shows that one needs to manage the transformation as a journey. A fragmented approach leads to disappointments, and therefore having a long-term vision, informed target of future state of technology, process, people, and culture becomes really important as you build that journey map to prioritize and accelerate impact.
Great, thank you, Skand. And it's interesting when you look at this Manish, I know you have a perspective having implemented several of these projects and or transformations for clients globally. Share with this audience today your take on what you see happening around the world in terms of projects and transformation.
Absolutely. So as you know, we work with multiple clients on their digital transformation journey where we align with their strategy. Some of them have an project approach where they're looking for a certain aspect of the business to be changed, whereas others have a much broader digital transformation strategy and roadmap. What we have seen is that the ones that have this roadmap is where they see the most successes. And from our perspective, we try to align with the client's digital strategy and the roadmap so that we can contribute to that. And what we have done is we have summarized the Teleperformance's view of digital transformation in this neat little slide which talks about ABC. So how we can help improve the employee experience, which is the agent experience, through the tools and technologies and processes, the customer experience, which is where we can bring in technologies for proactive communications and so on, and how we can affect the overall business model. And that's how we approach, and that is what we have seen work very well within our organization as well as when we align with our clients.
It's interesting, both Skand and Manish, really what I think what you're saying is two elements here. The projects that lead into the transformation being obviously the overarching objective. And, it's more than just the technology aspect of it. It's how you operate and deliver value to customers. It's the cultural change aspect of it that needs to be factored into the transformation equation. One leads to the other, right? You develop an agent experience, you develop a customer experience, you look at the business processes to deliver transformation. But I think one thing that would be interesting to talk about is how is this being currently adopted and used? So let's get real practical for a second. Transformation is scary. People implement projects because they're bite-sized chunks. Skand, you folks have done a great deal of research on the degrees of adoption across channels, etc. And would love for you to share your results. And I'm going to pop up this research you've done as a background for this conversation.
Sure. And rightly pointed out, Amit, in your summary of the previous section, transformation projects, they are behemoth, they are difficult to manage, and therefore looking at how you can drive incremental value at the same time looking at the broader picture becomes important. Now talking about the digital solutions themselves, their adoption is rising, but it varies across different solutions. For example, from the data that we have going back to the survey that I was referring to, self-service has witnessed higher adoption, and that's intuitive, and especially when compared to some of the newer technologies or next-gen solutions such as chatbot or agent assist solutions, which is about unifying data coming from different sources and ensuring that the agent has all the relevant information available on their fingertips so that they focus on resolving queries rather than looking for the answers and therefore deliver the best of experiences. Now, as we look at the data, there are a couple of things in the backdrop that one needs to be really looking at. One, as you implement each of these solutions, there has to be clarity and conviction in terms of reasons and expectation from implementing any of these solutions. And the other piece is, as you are forging your journey, as you're moving ahead on a digital front, don't think of implementing these solutions in isolation. In our experience, we have not seen people get the right kind of results if they are being done on a standalone basis. It is about understanding what end result you want to achieve and ensure that you're implementing the right set of solutions in order to achieve those results. With that being said, I think Manish, you have a case study to share.
Yes. So one of the large healthcare companies that we have worked with, and they have a single-minded focus for their agents and their employees to help the members and the callers uh, by empathizing with them, by helping solve their problems, on the call, regardless of other metrics and so on. And one of the challenges that we had seen the agents were facing, where they had to work with the mechanics of the call, which is figuring out how the systems work, uh, looking at multiple sources, and trying to resolve the issue on the call. As a solution, what we built is a series of bots. And what these bots help the agents uh, is to arrive at a solution relatively quickly. So this is a high-tech, high-touch approach where the technology is assisting the agents. And to give you a glimpse into this, the first bot is actually helping the agents remove the mechanics of copying and pasting information from applications and helping the agents being able to relate back with the members. And the second set of bot that we have is actually performing a quick check between multiple systems. In this case, it is about a caller who's calling to check the eligibility, and there are discrepancies between different systems. So the bot actually surfaces for the agent the different issues, and then gives a guidance as to the next step that they have to perform. And as a next step, the agent is able to very quickly create tickets for the backend systems and the other groups to resolve the issue, and then assure the member that they will have a quick resolution of their issue, and hence empathize and hence move the call forward. This was one of the case studies we have for a large healthcare client.
Thanks, Manish. You know what, Skand, as you were going through this, it struck me that most of the implementations, I think you said 64%, have been to drive customer self-service type initiatives, right, type use cases. There's a smaller percentage. It was about 28%, I think, for agent assist solutions, and about 30% for chatbots, VAs, or bots, similar to what Manish has walked through with us. In this era of digital environments, that there still seems to be a huge need to preserve our humanness. And while low on that implementation scale, right, the 34% or 28%, there's an increasing need to be high touch in this high tech world to deliver differentiating service. That's why we combine high touch and high tech to deliver these kind of services. Curious as to how you look at it in terms of what this agent of the future looks like, and how companies should be thinking about empowering, enabling agents to deliver this kind of an experience. And we'll circle back to maybe another use case and a conversation around this.
Absolutely, Amit. I couldn't agree more with your observation around the focus on high touch in the way the customer experience is being delivered. As you rightly put it, digital adoption and complexities, they are increasingly becoming more and more. Now, as the digital transformation is happening, it is leading to reshaping of the delivery and talent model. What I mean with that is the simpler queries are getting either self-served or delivered through bots. What that means is the bottom layer of agents are getting, the pool is getting smaller and smaller, which leads to, along with the average complexity of the work rising, leads to reduction in the overall headcount, but at the same time, the requirement for the middle layer, the senior agent team lead as we have it over here, keeps on getting increasing. Now, this leads to a different talent model than we have had in the past. And this new talent is going to play a huge role as we look into the future and in delivery of high-touch, high-tech interactions. Now, think about the changing nature of their job, right? They need to move from, as I talked about, looking for answers, toggling between different screens, to providing or utilizing the prompts coming from agent assist platforms to resolve the queries. It sounds simple, but at the same time, it requires them to do a lot more thinking than doing than they have done in the past. And at the same time, it becomes our duty to make sure that they are ready for this change. And this duty has different kind of elements to it. Right from the way you recruit talent to the way it is being developed, the transition needs to be managed so that you ensure that the technology is kind of figuring out the mechanics of the call, whereas it is the agent or the advocate who is focusing on empathy and driving better customer experience. Now, talking about the way the recruitment and talent development techniques have evolved, we have seen use of gamification, simulated environment, augmented and virtual realities that are used to guide and prepare agents for the future, and in a sense help them through this entire change and transformation that is happening in the industry, and ensure that the focus is on delivering unparalleled customer experience. Manish, I believe there is another case study that you have to share focused on the agent of the future.
Sure, absolutely. And this case study is for a large global logistics company where our agents have to work with the systems they have been provided, and a lot of these legacy systems have the restrictions which contributes to the what Skand mentioned as the mechanics of the call. So we developed an unified desktop framework which addresses four things for our agents. One is it helps them sign into the applications automatically. Second, it creates a smart panel where the agents can see all the activities being performed, all the information at a fingertip. It also provides them process guidance. So now this removes the complete mechanics of the call. And fourth, as part of the case disposition, they have to create case summary notes, which again, this particular unified desktop framework creates by itself. So, just to summarize from an agent perspective as to how it helps the agent of the future, it removes the mechanics of the call. It helps them focus on the caller. It helps improve the accuracy of the resolution of the call and the interaction. And finally, it basically helps move the calls faster and more accurately.
Thanks, Manish. It's interesting to see how the focus of these technologies, to your point about agent assist technologies, I think is how you started this off, Skand. It helps make for a more empathetic agent, an agent who can focus more on the transaction with the customer versus the transaction with the technology on the back end. Technology obviously creates new agile ways of working, but clearly from what you've gone through, the agents, the interaction experts, need to have a higher degree of understanding because of complexity, a high degree of understanding, training, etc. It's interesting to go through this. We've had several questions come through, and I'd ask everybody on the call, if you have any questions, please submit them. Let me jump to a couple of these. Skand, this first one I will direct to you. The question is, how can business-to-business companies empower their teams to provide better customer experience, especially when their function is outside of the contact center?
Got it. Okay. So quick clarification. I presume when we say outside contact center, we are either calling out the advocates on the kiosks or reception, or for that matter, the ones that are managing back office processes, right? And assuming that, let me take a quick stab at answering this one. Again, this entire discussion around B2C versus B2B, obviously, the retail customers, their expectation, especially in this digital age, is at a different level. At the same time, we have also seen that this customer-centric mindset is just as critical in the B2B space. If we look at it, the other piece is most of the B2B journeys are quite long. They are obviously more complex and extremely technical. And therefore, it requires a continuous set of interaction across different services and sales touchpoint. Now, in order to ensure that you are delivering the best experience to your B2B clients, a brand needs to not just rely on the contact center, but also on other field agents, back office processes to make sure that what is being delivered is at the same level. So I fundamentally don't see a difference between how a B2B versus a B2C company needs to empower their teams. It's pretty much the same set of ideas and initiatives that have been talked about in the conversation so far. What I do want to highlight is some of these are more complex, and therefore ensuring that there is a great deal of seamlessness across your front and back office, as well as non-contact center front office advocates and teams become extremely important, so that you are delivering that omni-channel experience in every possible way to your client.
Great. Thank you, Skand. And Manish, I think I'll direct this next question to you, since you have implemented many of these digital projects and transformation efforts globally in Asia Pac, in Latin America, US, and Europe. The question here is, when operating globally, how do you create personalized high-tech, high-touch experiences across the spectrum? And there's kind of a similar related question is, do they move from local to regional to global, or is it an integrated solution across the shared services network?
Yeah, that's very interesting, right? So from a technology perspective and technology framework, tools and such, I think it's pretty much uniform, unless there are restrictions of certain technologies not being available in certain geos. Otherwise, what differentiates the implementation is mostly the knowledge that is utilized for enabling this automated technologies, whether they are the chatbots or whether they are RPA solutions on the agent desktop or RPA solutions working on the backend side, and the context that you have to preserve. One of the very interesting things that we observed and encountered as we were implementing chatbots between Asia, APAC, and other geos is the concept of avatars. It seems avatars are very prevalent and popular within the APAC market, whereas in other geos there is a slight hesitation to adopt that. So that could be an example of how we have to manage the whole personalized approach when we get into the customer persona and so on. About the second question, I think what we have seen succeeding within teleperformance world is having a global COE and having regional COEs. So the global COE helps provide the blueprint, and the regional COEs and others actually implement, and then they have a cadence of alignment between the two. So that's how we have seen all this transformation projects at scale globally succeed.
You're exactly right, Manish. These centers of excellence, the COE, allows you to leverage your regional and global talents. I have this one question. We have just about to run out of time, but I absolutely want to squeeze this in, so I'll ask you for quick commentary, Skand and Manish, real quick. I think we have a couple of minutes here. The question is, will the bots actually replace the human element, or will it complement it? In 30 seconds or less, Skand.
There are parts of it will replace, but to a great extent it is about complementing and making the human element a lot more enhanced, a lot more targeted, and allowing it, as we said, the technology managing the mechanics of it, and the empathy being the core focus for the advocates and the agents.
Manish, your quick take?
Yeah, absolutely agree. This is what we have seen, and this is what we implemented, where we are augmenting the agents. We are getting the agents of the future ready by providing them tools and technologies, and that is what we have seen succeeding.
Great, thank you. That was a question that I know was on top of many people's minds. It came in a couple of times on our question session today. With that, Skand, Manish, thank you so much for your participation, and thank you so much for your insights and sharing your expertise. It's always interesting to hear from an analyst perspective and see a practitioner perspective, so thank you both. With that, we come to the end of today's TP Talks. Reminder to download the resources, watch the other webinars on demand. If you'd like to share this webinar with others in your organization, it'll shortly be tomorrow. It'll shortly be available to everybody to forward. With that, once again, thank you so much for attending today's TP Talks. Manish, Skand, appreciate your contribution. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.